With so many of us living in smaller bedrooms with much larger beds, the demand for a matching set of tall, slim nightstands is much higher than it will ever be for a big, bulky makeup vanity. In this video, I'm going to show you guys how I take an old, outdated makeup vanity that I found on Facebook Marketplace on the cheap and turn it into a matching set of high-end nightstands. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Katie. I am the owner and artist behind Salvaged by K. Scott. I've been running my very own furniture flipping business right here out of my home for the past 4 years. For tons more modern furniture flipping inspiration, tips, and tricks, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and hit the bell so that you're notified every time I upload a brand new flip. All right, let's head out to the garage now so I can show you guys what I'm working with. Whenever I'm looking for vanities or desks to split like this, I like to look for pieces that already have 2 separate towers of drawers with just a shelf connecting them in the middle. It's so much easier to do this when there are already 2 functional pieces of furniture than trying to cut something apart that has one unified flat top. This little vanity also came with a gorgeous mid-mod stool that I'm going to hang on to and I'll flip with another project. When it comes to deconstructing and taking apart pieces of furniture like this, it's important to remember that they are all different. You're never going to encounter the same construction twice. So my best advice is to just go through screw by screw, nail by nail, and remove things a little bit at a time. I started by removing all of the screws that I could see on the back of this piece, and then I laid it down flat so I could get the screws at the bottom. I was pretty confident that once I had all of the screws out, these drawers would just sort of fall apart to the side, but they didn't. I ended up having to give them a little bit of help rocking them off some hidden nails. And just like that, I now have 2 independent nightstands. The original shelf for this piece was just a plain piece of glass that sat on these little metal brackets, so I removed those as well. I'm going to pull out all of the drawers so that I can get in and remove this hardware. I am going to clean it up and keep it with the pieces because it is stunning. I'll leave a link to a quick video I have about cleaning up vintage hardware down below. A great tip when you're removing drawers is to label them. Luckily, this was already done for me. It's very common in vintage furniture that one drawer only fits in one spot and it can be tricky to put it all back together. Now I need to deal with this little bump out on the back of each table. This is where the original mirror sat. I've talked to you guys before about not liking power saws, so luckily my husband was willing to give me a hand on this one and quickly zipped those off with our circular saw. Now that all that stuff is out of the way, I can go ahead and give my pieces a really thorough cleaning inside and out with some TSP alternative. I used some Minwax high performance wood filler to fill in the screw holes where the original shelf brackets were and let that dry. Once that wood filler was dry, I came back with my electric sander and some 180 grit sandpaper to sand smooth those spots of filler and also scuff up the rest of the surface. To get into these beautiful grooves at the top, I just folded a piece of sandpaper in half and did those areas by hand. I also want to mention here, it is super important to clean off sanding dust at every step. You want your primer, paint, or top coat to adhere to the surface and not to the dust. Since I'm going to be spraying my paint on these pieces, I want to protect the inside of the drawers. I put a little piece of painter's tape behind each of the hardware holes and then wrap each drawer with this Scotch blue painter's tape and plastic in one. The last thing that I need to do before I apply my paint is prime. I am using my favorite Zinsser shellac-based primer. This primer is guaranteed to seal in any wood tannins that may want to bleed up through my new painted finish and stain it. It's also going to give me a nice, crisp, clean, smooth canvas to apply my paint to. I applied 2 coats of primer with a 4-inch microfiber roller. This product can be sprayed, but it's kind of messy and a pain in the butt to clean up, so I like to roll it instead. Once my primer was nice and dry, I came back with a super fine grit sanding pad just to smooth out any roller texture. Now it's time for my favorite part, which is putting on the paint. I'm going to be using Country Chic paint in the color Pop the Bubbly. Country Chic is a really beautiful clay-based, eco-friendly furniture paint that is made right here in Canada. I usually prefer to spray my paints with my HVLP pneumatic spray gun just because it's so quick and easy, but this paint brushes great as well. I applied 2 full coats of paint that gave me great coverage and waited about 2 hours between each coat. Once I was done painting, I cleaned out my spray gun and let these guys dry in the garage overnight. The next morning, I came back out to the garage and filled up my spray gun with some Varathane Diamond Wood Finish in a satin sheen. This poly top coat is going to seal in the porous clay paint and make it wipeable, durable, scratch resistant, water resistant, life proof, you know. I popped back out to the garage about an hour after I sprayed the first coat and noticed that it was drying kind of with a sandpaper texture, which can happen sometimes if your spray is too fine, or I think the heater in the garage was blasting a little too hard on these, so it dried really quickly. To fix that, I just grabbed some superfine sandpaper again and smoothed it out, and then I was able to spray my second and third coat of poly, no problem at all. After letting my last layer of top coat dry for a few hours, I brought everything inside, reattached the hardware, and now we can take a quick look at the before and after. I originally paid $40 for this piece, and I worked on it in the garage over 2 days. Now I'm ready to list it again back on Facebook Marketplace as these two stunning nightstands. I'm going to list them for $500, which is right in line with my local furniture painting competitors and what they charge for similar pairs. I think that's a pretty good profit. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with your friends. I'm going to leave a few more furniture flipping videos that I think you might like right here so you can watch them next.